Trenton 365 with Jacque Howard. Profiling the businesses, organizations, and people that make Trenton better.
Hello, friend, and welcome to the Trenton 365 show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You're listening over New Jersey's oldest radio station, WIMG 1300, streaming over our website as well, WIMG1300.com. And if you're watching, it's over WPHY, Channel 25, covering Mercer County, New Jersey. You can also visit the Trenton 365 show Facebook page, and there you can see archives of the different interviews and so many other things I'm doing in the community. And you can always send me an email, Trenton365show@gmail.com. In the studio with me is Paul Perez, and Paul Perez and I met a few years ago when he put his bid in to run for the mayor of New Jersey's capital city, Trenton, and we developed a friendship there and an ongoing relationship. And it's amazing how when two people come together who have like-minded opinions about being civically engaged and the importance of that, how that relationship can progress. So I've got Paul in the studio today. I'm going to touch on his politics just slightly because I have to. But besides that, we're going to be talking about all the other things that Paul has been doing over the last couple of years. And one of his newest projects, which is his nonprofit, Partnerships for Trenton, which is doing some amazing work. And you're going to get a chance to hear a lot of that. But Paul, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, Jacque. I feel privileged to be here with you tonight, and it's always great when we get together. So thank you.
Absolutely, man, for sure. So, I know you, and I know your family, et cetera, but just give a little snippet about who Paul Perez is, how long you've been in Trenton. Don't give him the whole lowdown, but just a little bit of information about the background.
Well, I think that most people know that I'm from Trenton, born and raised here. 503 Market Street, if people remember that area, right down from the old Sears. That's where I was born and raised, went to school here, Parker School, Junior 5, Trenton High School, and then, of course, went on to military. Come from a family of 15 of us that now is multiplied, 5 times now. So everywhere you look, somebody's related to us. Mm-hmm. So we are Trentonians, because that's usually what qualifies you as a Trentonian. How many family members do you have here? No, I love Trenton. I am a dedicated individual who wants to see children who are going through experiences that I went through get ahead also. So that's why I dedicate my time and my service to that kind of work. I am a former military soldier who loves his country and is proud to have served, and really appreciative of everything that I had an opportunity to learn and gain while I was in the military and doing service for my country. I'm a former federal senior executive who had the opportunity to work for several administrations, to include the Obama administration, when I was there as a senior executive at the National Science Foundation, for 3 years as the Director of Administration and Operations for the National Science Foundation. I am a private owner of my own electrical company, electrical retrofitting company here, mm-hmm. established here in the city of Trenton. And I am the president of the Partnerships for Trenton, which is a nonprofit community outreach organization that helps people connect to resources. We focus on seniors, we focus on our youth, we focus on anyone who needs help in either getting to or understanding how to get to or learning about what the resources are that are available to them here within the city of Trenton and Mercer County.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you think you growing up in a family, a large, very large family, being one of 15, how do you think that formed you and your opinions about life and then transitioned into the military?
Well, several things. Number one, it taught me about how it feels not to have something. Mm. That's one. And then it also taught me how it feels to appreciate something. It also taught me discipline. Mm-hmm. It also taught me about team play. All of these things came about because you're surrounded by 15 other individuals who are trying to accomplish the same goals that you are, whether it was taking a bath, using the restroom, eating at the table, or appreciating the meal that was served for you. Even something as simple as clothing, So I know what it feels like to have a real need for something, what it feels like to not be a person who can just reach over and grab something and say, I'm happy because I can reach this, and then not appreciate it. I also know what it feels like to be denied things, okay? Because I came from a poverty-stricken area where we weren't always given the right resources to help us stay in the race, right? Whether it was through educational opportunities or job opportunities or even athletic opportunities, right? So I know what it feels like to be, that guy that people say, okay, you can't play, even though you might be one of the better players in the team, or you might be the person who really has worked hard and deserves the opportunity. So those kinds of things and lessons as I was a young man growing up here in the city of Trenton prepared me for the military. I went to the military and I said, this is like being at home. You know what I mean? I got a bunch of people living in the same room with me. I got somebody who talks really loud and gives me a lot of orders. And as long as I do what I'm told, I'm not going to get disciplined for it. And then at the same time, they're teaching me new values on how to construct myself as a man. So it was wonderful.
So part of how you and I met is you being civically engaged, you being active in your community, wanting to, from a administrative standpoint, wanting to improve the city,
Right.
and the surroundings that you grew up in. How important is that for you as you've transitioned, not in the political sense, but now you're in the private sector?
Right.
And how does that help to formulate your opinions on that?
Well, it has helped because it shows me where the gaps are when it comes to how is it that we're not communicating the right message to help people understand that if you don't get involved, you don't count. And I saw this continuously when I got into the political arena specifically, where I would see candidates ask people, do you vote? And as soon as they said no, the candidate would move on. Because that meant I don't need to spend my time on you because you don't vote. So you don't have a voice. You don't count. And when that happens, people don't realize that it has a cascading effect to how you live, eat, sleep, and work, right? So the importance of getting civically involved helps you to improve your opportunities when it comes to who's going to hear your voice, who is going to be standing there when you say, a dilapidated school is not good enough for my child, or when the street services are not good enough for my taxes that I pay you, or when they say, why don't we have a security plan that works, or when they ask, my young son is a brilliant young man, or my young daughter is a brilliant young girl, and she's studying very hard, and she's going to go to college, and why does she have to travel somewhere else to get a job? Why don't we have the private sector here capable of keeping her home? So those are the kinds of things, those are the cascading effects of not being civically involved. But people make civic decisions on a daily basis. We were just talking about that, right? So you'll see these young kids, they're walking around and they have a T-shirt on and they'll have a picture of their today it's an artist, or, I said for the Latinos it might be Che Guevara or somebody like that. And they said, but I don't get involved in politics. And I said, well, wait a minute, time out. Whose shirt are you wearing? If you're wearing a Tupac shirt or you're wearing a Che shirt, then you're making a political statement. And that means that you either believe in what they stood for or you don't know what you're wearing. So they do understand it when you break it down to them that way. And then there's plenty of conversations going on around the city on how to engage our youth and get them involved. When people have a problem with other experiences of candidates or politicians who have been, less than credible, then they're going to get discouraged and then they're going to walk away from it. But we have to create an opportunity right now where people understand that, listen, if you don't get involved, you will end up with a Donald Trump in the White House, okay? If you don't get involved, you won't get money coming down from the federal government, from the state government, from the county government to help your city. If you don't get involved, you won't have people in the private sector who are interested in you, in engaging you, in bringing jobs so that you can live like everybody else, keeping you in that race. There was an old documentary called Keep Your Eyes on the Prize. Do you remember that? Well, that's what happens. People just, they lose it. They lose that vision and they get caught up in another tunnel that takes them somewhere down another dark road and completely miss out on opportunities that stand right in front of them. We have people dying every day who want to come to this country from other countries because of all the rights and privileges that we have as Americans. Yet we have our Americans living right here who either don't clearly engage, understand, or care about those privileges that others who came before us have paved the way for.
Now, that's an interesting point. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about that, but I'd love for you to sit down with me at another time and talk about that, about the privileges that we have here, regardless of our current situation or how bad a situation is. There are plenty of people around the world who would love to have that opportunity that we have, especially here in a post-industrial city like Trenton.
Absolutely.
Now, you come from a big family. You've got military experience. You've been in politics. How has your perspective changed since not winning the election as the mayor of Trenton? How has your perspective changed?
My perspective has changed in that now I can focus clearly on the solutions that the people need. Because I had hands-on experience now engaging them, and not only engaging them, but seeing it, walking through it. It's called empirical knowledge I have now, right? which I gained it through my experience of being a part of it and going through it and seeing it, touching it, feeling it, smelling it, and understanding it for real. So now I can sit down and I can focus and I can say, here's an issue that needs a resolution. I think I have a better perspective on how to go about putting that plan together now, because I've actually engaged, I heard from them, I got their input, I saw, we tested, and some of these things are going on now. So if we want to say how has it changed, it would be that.
You know, oftentimes when someone runs for a political office, and I think that to an extent we've even seen it play out in the presidential election, where it's more of a status,
Right.
An image
Right.
that a majority of the people fall in love with, not necessarily being able to tie that to the actual facts or the responsibility of the position,
Right.
but you've just got this position because you could eloquently speak, you could present an idea or a concept that excites people. How would you describe the context of that in where you are in your political life?
Well, I would explain it this way. I would say that I now know that the people are hungry, homeless. They live in drug-infested areas. They go without heat. They go without water sometimes. People are living in desperate times right now, and any person who wants to put themselves out there because they feel that they should hold a position of authority, because that's what I call it. Leadership is something completely different. Okay, not everyone who holds a position of authority is a leader.
Correct.
And that's why we see this. They might be in it for the wrong reasons, which is I want to wear a nice suit and I want to have a driver and I want to be in one of those black vehicles driving through the streets and waving at the people. That's not good enough. We went through that back in the old pre-American days, back in the old countries that people came from. You went through all of that. This is not. We decided a long time in America that we didn't want a king. Right, what we wanted was a leader of the people, and somewhere along that line, there's many people who have forgotten that, and people really do depend on you when they cast that vote. They're asking. It's almost like they're saying a prayer and a wish, and they're pulling that lever and hoping that you're going to be the person that's going to help them resolve the issues and the battles that they're going through, whether it be with a child with special needs, or an uncle who needs a job, or a mother who is being abused, or a father who has no medical benefits. Whatever it might be, they need true leadership. Someone with a vision, someone with the understanding and real resources of bringing solutions to their problems. Not somebody who's going to continue to promise them a meal like in the old Renaissance time, where the king would come and he would have the big, hind leg or something of an animal, and he would be chomping at it, and then the peasants would be down there getting the scraps. We've already gone through that. Everybody should be on an equal level when it comes to the opportunity to do better in life, and those are the kinds of perspectives that I'm getting, that I've gained through that experience, which was a wonderful experience, and I thought was wonderful for the city that I went through it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm speaking with Paul Perez, and we've been talking a little bit about his history. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes about his nonprofit organization, Partnerships for Trenton, and how he feels that organization as a nonprofit is going to fit into an area of Trenton that is in need. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. We'll be back after a short break.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to the Trenton 365 show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. In the studio with me is Paul Perez. Paul Perez ran for mayor of Trenton, and we've been talking a bit about that and his history. But the main portion of the show is going to be talking about his nonprofit organization, Partnerships for Trenton, and why he started the organization with his family and some key folks, and what he is trying, what niche he is fitting into. But we're also going to be talking about one of his business moves as well, his electrical retrofitting business as well, and so stay tuned for that. Paul, just before the break, you were talking about your background, et cetera, and then talking about politics, and not politics from the standpoint of pointing a finger and saying anyone's wrong or anything like that, but just educating not only myself but others about your experience, what you learned from running for office here in the city of Trenton, New Jersey's capital city, and how you've now taken that and you're formulating that into not only your business ventures, but also helping out in a need in the community here in Trenton with your nonprofit organization, Partnerships for Trenton. Besides being civically engaged and seeing that there was a need, what was the driving force behind starting a nonprofit? And I'm going to put this out there. You have a large family, beautiful family. You've got a military background. You've got a strong professional career. You don't necessarily have to do this. And you told me early on, I can go pretty much anywhere I want and start my life and live my life. But I want to be here.
Right.
Why?
Because this is where I'm needed. That's the bottom line. I'm needed here because my skill set is present here in the community, but there's a space for me. I can work here with my skill set, and my skill set is to quickly analyze and take a diagnostic approach to problems and issues that I see. And some of the problems that I saw that helped me come to the conclusion that we needed to create a vehicle that would connect people to resources was that experience of walking the streets of Trenton and seeing where people were just surviving. They were just getting by. But not more than a mile away, there was a resource available to them that could make their life a little bit easier. And then what we would find out is that because of the fact that they don't have the means of transportation, some don't even have a guardian with them. Some have lived for so long in their small apartments that they've become paranoid of leaving their buildings. Some are caring for the elderly. Some are caring for the young who are disabled. So many issues that we saw that made my wife and I come to the conclusion that we should put together a 501c3 organization, nonprofit, and base it on community outreach, and then ensure that it was all about connecting people to resources. So we did that. We did that with the nonprofit Partnerships for Trenton, which can be found at www.partnershipsfortrenton.org. You can call our office also, which is 609-362-7920 or 609-498-0568. But go on the web and you'll see what we're doing. We've helped and volunteered with the Josephson Building, the Jacobson Building, and some of the other senior outlets here in the city to create a seniors health and wellness committee that looks after issues regarding the seniors when it comes to their care, their security, and their health. That's being led currently by a gentleman named Clarence Willits and Mr. Jim Johnson out in West Trenton. And then also we've gone to the Board of Education and got resolutions passed where we've partnered with schools, Woodrow Wilson Elementary School, the Hedgepeth William Middle School, the Grace Dunn Middle School, and the Monument School, which is, I think they call it the 9th grade academy now. Okay. We've done most of our work in the Hedgepeth William Dunn School and the Woodrow Wilson School. And what we found was that there were situations, surroundings, environments that could be improved that could help children who go and attend school feel like they're being welcomed and that they're being taught in an environment that's on the same playing field of they're wanting to learn. And I'll give you just a quick example, simple things like we've helped the Woodrow Wilson School fix gates that were broken. We are currently raising funds for them right now to purchase 18 air conditioners for their old school classrooms because it gets so hot that it's difficult for the child to pay attention during the classroom time, and the teachers to stay motivated because it's so uncomfortable. The climate is terrible in there. So we teamed up with the principal, Janet Nicodemus, with other members of her staff, with members of our staff, Joan Williams, Bishop Gaines, Tyrone Gaskin, many of our same people working together, and we've come up with this opportunity now to raise funds and money so that we can then turn it back to the school and purchase them some air conditioners, which is going to make the rooms simpler and help them get their classroom work in. We've done just about everything that you can think of, from feeding the poor, just like everybody else does, to understanding their needs. We talked about, do you give them a turkey or do you cook them a hot meal?
Now, I want to drill down on that because I think that's an amazing way to provide a service. And folks, Paul and I, before we came on the air, we were talking, and I was sharing about how the community gardens that I've helped build through Isles and with Urban Mission Cabinet Inc. and the Bethany House and Crisis Ministry and Westminster Presbyterian Church, etc., that we were making these wonderful community gardens, and we had all this lovely, fresh, organically grown produce. But when we wanted to give it away, we'd find people took tomatoes and cucumbers and green peppers, and pretty much that's it. And then we started asking questions. Why? Why aren't you taking more of this? And a lot of times people don't have the resources to prepare these meals.
That's right.
They may be cooking on a hot plate, or they may not have proper refrigeration. And people didn't want to take it and waste the produce, but they had no way to use it. So then we started to think, okay, Now we've got to provide other opportunities for folks, recipes, how you can make cold salads, how you can do these different things with what you have to stretch your budget, etc. And then you jumped right into talking about the experience with turkeys.
That's right.
So can you share that
Absolutely.
experience?
Sometimes you have to realize that when you get in this business, what you think is a solution for somebody may be a problem.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And that's the kind of experience that you gain when you get in there. So giving them a turkey might make you feel good and think, hey, I just gave them a meal. But they're thinking it's a problem now. I don't have a place to store that. I don't have utensils to cut it. I can't even cook it. So what am I going to do with it? And we ran into those real problems and lessons learned on the spot. And we figured out, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to just be very basic in our approach and ask, can you afford to have the turkey and cook it yourself? Is that something that you would want to do? Or do you prefer to have the hot meal? And we found out that engaging them that way, it made it much more effective. And then what we went another step further, and we said, okay, while we're doing this and we're engaging them, we're going to create learning opportunities. We're going to get opportunities to talk to them about resources available to them. We're going to bring in guest people. We're going to demonstrate to them how they can connect to another resource out there that they don't know that might be available to them, yet it could improve their quality of life. So it's been very, very exciting for us. Especially with the seniors. But I wanted to go back because you just said something, you reminded me when you mentioned your church. We just got back from Washington, D.C., where the Partnerships for Trenton partnered up with Hedgepeth Williams School, and we co-sponsored by purchasing their meals the trip to Washington, D.C.'s African American National Museum, and Karen was with us, so that's why I wanted to, and some of her members, and it was a wonderful trip. And then also, last year we co-sponsored, we raised I think $4,000 to support the one-day youth summit for the Trenton Public Schools out at Mercer County Community College, and we're doing this, and these are all volunteers. We're not getting the grants that other organizations are getting. We're doing this through old style bake sales and lemonade stands and going into your pocketbook and pulling out some money. But we're feeling so good because we're having a tremendous effect on the community, because it's almost like the return of investment is greater on our side than the larger organizations, because what's happening is that we are pushing it all back into the community. So last year, the Partnerships for Trenton, and I think our 990 is getting ready to be finalized now, probably around $60,000 we made. And that's with in-kind donations and actual money, funds donations. And every single penny went back to the community, to include a $1,000 scholarship that we provide to a Trenton High or a Trenton community graduate. So there's so much that we do and so much that we learned. It's addictive when you're doing something good for the people. And that's what kept me going when it comes to that kind of service.
Paul Perez is in the studio, and we're talking about all different things, not only his run for mayor of Trenton, but also his background growing up here in the city, his military experience, and about his new initiative, Partnerships for Trenton. The website is partnershipsfortrenton.org, and there you can actually see some of the different things that he has going on there, the different projects. You can sign up for the newsletter, as well as make a donation, which is also something for you to consider. If you cannot physically get involved in a game, we do take, as a whole, time, talent, and treasures. So that's something for you to think about. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show, and we'll be back after a short break.
Woo! Big Mac, Mac Jr., Grand Mac 2. That's 3 Mac sizes made just for you. So no matter where you might be at, there's a Big Mac for that. Big Mac for that. Lunchtime already? Today's extraordinary. Juicy, cheesy, iconic Big Mac burger, now in 3 sizes. Only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Greatness comes in all sizes. Right now, try the Mac Jr. for $2, the Big Mac for $4, or the Grand Mac for only $5. Prices and participation may vary.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Your morning routine has been so routine. Wake up and go to work. Well, change it up. Wake up and go to McDonald's for a delicious McCafe coffee. It's just $1. Wake up and win the day. Get any size coffee freshly brewed every 30 minutes for $1. Or delicious small mocha, latte, or hot chocolate for $2. Buy 5 McCafe beverages and get 1 free on our app. For a limited time, $1 any size hot coffee. Only valid for a la carte offers. McCafe Rewards is valid through 12/31/17 and participating U.S. McDonald's. Price and participation may vary.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Call now, 800-974-3927. 800-974-3927. That's 800-974-3927.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to the Trenton 365 Show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You can send me an email